the biggest part of the wedding day is the people that you're surrounded by. And to me, I know that day when that happens, I'm not going to cry when I see my husband. I'm going to cry when I see my girlfriends.
Oh my gosh.
You know, because it's going to be like, gosh, they've been through all of it, you know? Like, the guys only seen this side of me. They've seen it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 21, the show where you really get to know your vendors here in Oklahoma City. My name is Rob Jacobs, lead photographer and videographer and owner of Everything Photography OKC, and I'm getting to sit down with a young lady who has quite the rap sheet, quite the resume, and I'm super glad to be sitting down with you. Alexis or Lexi? What do you like to be called?
Lexi. Alexandria, but I'm Lexi. So.
Alexandria.
Yes,
okay, I didn't see that anywhere online.
I know,
That's good.
Right?
You
it's
hid
not
that,
very,
didn't you?
well known. Yes.
You buried that. Okay.
Right, absolutely. Well, I'm Lexi. I'm the owner of Bella Bridesmaids in Oklahoma City. We're the only bridesmaids-only shop in all of Oklahoma, and I'm super excited to be here.
All of Oklahoma.
Yes.
How did you know that you wanted to make a bridesmaid shop? And did you just look at the market and say, there's not this there, and I'm going to put it there?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of the backstory. So the store has actually been here as a bridesmaid shop, as we had talked about, for about 8 years now, going in November. So I actually started working part-time here when the store was called Prim, the Bridesmaids Boutique. So I started working here part-time in college, just getting, my foot in the door in the wedding industry. That was after I had worked for Brides of Oklahoma magazine as an intern for a year. So I had jumped in here, working a couple days a week, and then the owner had decided she was ready to sell, and I was nowhere near ready to buy a store or do anything of the sort. But a few months go by, and she approached me about it, and as a joke, I was like, yeah, I'll dive right in, so it's really nice that Bella Bridesmaids, so all the while I was buying a small business in Oklahoma City, I was also buying into the franchise that is Bella Bridesmaids. So we are one of 60 showrooms across the country that just focuses on the bridesmaid side of weddings. Typically you go into a wedding shop, and here is your one rack of bridesmaids dresses, and they all look the exact same, and there's 5 colors to choose from. So Bella Bridesmaids kind of focuses on the bridesmaid side of things only, so the girls kind of get that same experience as if the bride were to go in and have her full appointment. The bridesmaids kind of have that same experience. So I just celebrated my 1 year of opening this past July. And so I've been here just over a year, survived COVID, which was crazy. I bought the store in 2020 January. We all know, of course, we survived a pandemic all through the year, still surviving and thriving. And so people are still getting married, as you know. And so it was kind of a scary time, but we've survived and we're here. So
let's go. Well, Thank you for the introduction. I did not quite realize all of Oklahoma, you are the one.
The only one.
All of Oklahoma. Fantastic. What other states is Bella Bridesmaids in?
Pretty much every state has at least one Bella. Obviously, other states have more Bellas, those more saturated cities. Like, Florida's got, I think, 4 or 5. Of course, Texas has got 4, I think. So Oklahoma's one of the only ones that just has one store. I think we're working towards getting a Bella in every single state. I think for the most part, there's only like 5 states that I don't think have any. So one of those, one-off states like Utah, I don't think they have anything.
Okay, gotcha. Wow, really interesting. Bella Bridesmaids, did you reach out to them? Did you know you wanted to work with them? How did that happen?
Yeah, so all the while I was purchasing the small business that was Prim, I knew going into that it was going to become a Bella regardless. So I actually didn't have to do that homework on my own. It was already kind of implemented that whoever was going to be purchasing Prim was going to turn it into Bella Bridesmaids. So I started working with them right away when I decided, okay, we're going to really do this thing. So I jumped right in and started getting, on Zoom calls. Obviously, that's all we really had to work with at the time. So our Bella Bridesmaids headquarters is located in Chicago. So I went out in June of 2020, right before I opened, and we had a full week of training. My mom went with me, and we got, everything squared away to open on that July 1st date. I was still in school. I was doing school and opening a store at the same time.
Wow.
And so
that's a busy life.
It was busy. It was crazy. So it's worked out, and I'm here now. So
that's amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So moving on into what we're doing today.
Okay.
If anyone doesn't know, including you, what we're doing today, we have a fishbowl full of 21 questions.
Okay.
And what's going to happen is you'll draw out a singular question. Mm-hmm. You won't read it yourself. You'll hand it over to me, and then I'll read it. I'm going to let you draw, so, there's no chance I know where anything is in there. You can toss them around and give me whichever one you want.
This throws me back to, my pageant days, so
okay,
I'm ready.
Here we go. You're drawing.
I know, I'm like, I can't look.
That's awesome. Cool. So speaking of your pageants, first question is actually about it. So talk to me about any of the lessons that you learned all throughout your years of doing pageants.
Absolutely. So before pageants, just to kind of start right in, I mean, I was a completely different person, lacked a lot of self-confidence. I was shy, couldn't even order my own meal at a restaurant. And so I don't know what gave me the idea of this, 10-year-old mind that I had at the time, but I was always very strong-willed, still am today, but I was just very shy and I couldn't break through to that confidence that I knew that I had the potential to have.
Come on.
So did my first pageant and I had no idea what I was doing. I screwed up probably about every single thing you could screw up. It was a learning experience for sure. But after that first one, I knew I was in the right place and I knew I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing. So that kind of started on a 10-year journey for me that started from there, and I started working with coaches and working on myself. And really through those 10 years, I really grasped what I really wanted out of life was to help others and to be inspiring to other people, and to really just gain that self-confidence that I know a lot of women don't have. And especially I know for a fact if I had not done pageants, I would not be here. I would not be sitting here talking to you and being able to really talk about myself confidently. And so I would say the biggest thing is really being confident in who I am, my goals, my dreams, and that will be something I take with me for the rest of my life. So.
That's awesome. Do you see yourself in the future? You're putting your kids these pageants to help them
gosh.
gain that, or because it is a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked to. Do you know Broken Horn Ranch by any chance?
I think I've heard of
Broken
it before.
Horn Ranch is out in Luther. It's a beautiful venue, and the owner of Broken Horn Ranch did rodeo pageants.
Okay, wow.
Do you know anything about rodeo pageants?
Very probably a different ballgame than what I did.
It's a very interesting thing. My favorite thing we talked about was because her kids are in it.
Okay.
And she was talking about how these girls will ride horses, down into this ring, I guess, and jump off of a horse at full speed and run up and tie 3 legs of a goat together.
Yep, that's not what I was doing.
I'm imagining it's a completely different kind of pageant.
Very different.
But she was so passionate about it, and she had her kids in it because she knew it taught them some lessons. Is it the same for you, or do you think you'll push your kids towards that? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things. It was something my mom never pushed me to do. She was going to want to do whatever I wanted to do. She was going to be right there alongside me. And so I could have said I wanted to do something crazy, and she would have been like, all right, where do I sign up for it, And so, I think if that's something that comes up, great. If not, no big deal. I think the biggest thing that, like I said, pageants taught me is to pursue your dreams regardless of how big or how small, because, I think that was a thing I faced was, coming in such a rookie, and then I walked away as, holding so many titles, and it was something I was so passionate about. And so I think if that's what they want to do, great. I'm sure if not, they'll be wanting to do something else, and because you can't make someone do something they don't want to do. So
that's awesome.
Regardless of what it is, I will be there all the way.
Yeah, doesn't matter if they want to do palm, or doesn't matter if they want to, shoot rifles, anything like that. You're all for it.
Yeah, as long as I'm not behind the rifle, that's all that matters, right?
Do you shoot, by the way? You're in Oklahoma. Do you?
I don't. I've gone out to a gun range once in a while, every now and then, but it's not something I'm equipped at for sure. No.
Okay, so Sierra, I'm going to look at you and ask if I'm allowed to tell this story. Okay, all right.
We're already there.
I can edit it out, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it. So Sierra is from Oklahoma City too. She had never shot a gun before we got together. We got married. I'm in the Army, and I love firearms.
Absolutely.
I really enjoy firearms, and so I didn't know this until we were probably married for 5-6 months at this time.
Oh my gosh.
And I was going to do a surprise date. And take her to a place that's called Bow and Barrel. It's in St. Robert, Missouri.
Okay.
And we were going to go in and shoot firearms. Well, I pulled up to this log cabin-looking building. And she's so excited. She has no idea what this is. We go inside the door, and she sees guns everywhere. And she was just, even though she's from Oklahoma, she just was not used to it. Yeah. She broke down.
Oh no.
She broke down crying.
I probably would too if I'd never seen that.
She was, and it was, for me, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. For her, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm sure. And so we didn't go in and shoot that time.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I didn't realize this was going to happen. I apologize. So we ended up going to Wendy's, having some hamburgers, and went home.
That's all you need, food, and you're good.
Yeah. And so a couple months later, she comes back to me and she says, hey, Rob, I know that's an irrational fear, and I want to get over it. She come to me and she said that she wanted to go back and figure out what's going on. She wanted to get over this irrational fear. And the next time we went back, she actually went inside the store, went up to the front counter where the guns were, and she looked. And she turned around and she said, Rob, I'm good. Let's go home. And I was like, that's amazing. A couple more months pass by. She says, Rob, I want to go back. I got her now inside of the gun range with a 22, which is a tiny little bullet.
It's just,
Yeah, and she shot maybe 5 rounds out of that 22. She broke down in tears. She put the gun down and said, Rob, I'm done. And we were going to leave immediately, but we didn't. And she actually wanted to try mine. I shoot a 9mm. And so she had got my 9mm, went up there and fired it one time, put it down, started crying, and said, Rob, I'm done. And I was just so proud. I cannot express.
Far steps from the first time, right?
I cannot express how proud I am of her for that. And if pageants or if anything like that can really get that confidence built up in people, it doesn't have to be to shoot firearms, but just to help them get out of that comfort zone and help them be willing to get out of their comfort zone in the future. I can't imagine that I wouldn't have my kid maybe look at pageants at least. I would never force him to, but that's I think that's a great perk. These things.
And aside all else, I've met some of my very best friends through pageants. One of my best friends, she lives in Arkansas now, and I talk to her every day. I've talked to her today.
Oh, wow.
So it's one of those things that you meet people. I always say you are who you run with, and so when you're with people who are doing so many things and they're just being so inspirational and they're doers, they're go-getters, and they're dreamers, you are ultimately going to want to pursue those things as well.
I completely agree.
So pageants to me, they were just a jump start. They were a decade of my life, so I think I will always owe my credit to them as to how far I've come. But I know that that was a chapter in my book. It's not the whole novel. So, I think moving forward, pageants taught me there's nothing I can't accomplish.
That's awesome.
Owning a store included. So it's gotten me here. So I can't say they were worthless at all. Let's do it. All right.
Thank you very much. Like some ASMR with this paper. So it would be absolutely impossible to talk to you without talking about your pageant life. Now, two in a row, we got these pageant questions. So we'll get these out of the way and just be able to move on. But tell me about how you went from, what was it, Little Miss Preteen Sapulpa?
Yes.
Was that your first title?
Oh my gosh, yes, it was.
All the way to Miss Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Tell me that journey.
Oh, for sure. It's got a journey for sure.
It spans what, 10
years? Mm-hmm, absolutely. So I had mentioned the very first pageant I did, I knew I was in the right spot, and I knew I was like, okay, I know I'm where I want to be. So Miss Preteen Sapulpa, it was this little tiny local pageant. I had never even heard of the town Sapulpa in my life. And not even really sure. The first pageant I did was a big one. And then so, of course, I got lots of contacts and connections from that. And a local director reached out to me and said, hey, you should come do my pageant. The first one I did was in May, and then this was in September. So not a lot of time between then and, the pageant in September. So I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this. And so I was dedicated. I was bedazzling, everything in sight to be able to get ready for that pageant, and so that was what I did the whole summer. And so September rolled around, and surprisingly enough, I won. And I will never forget looking in the audience, and my mom can attest to this too, is I looked out in the audience, and she just gave me a look like, what the heck is going to happen now? And I was just like, I don't know. And so that kind of started that, and then that pageant kind of jump-started me into the next series of pageants, which was National American Miss. So that's really where I got my passion, and I knew that was really a goal that I wanted to pursue. So that started in 2010, and so I came back year after year after year, and I got closer, fell behind, got forward,
I don't understand how these things are rated. What's the point? Is there a point system? What is it?
Absolutely. So every pageant's a little bit different. And so the one that I specifically was involved with, which is National American Miss, they have a evening gown portion, an interview portion, an onstage introduction portion, a community service, and then there's all these different side hustles you can do, like modeling if you want to do that, acting, photography, obviously. There's just so many different little aspects of it that you can get extra scholarship money from. So essentially, pageants to me, that was never the goal, is to get scholarship money. I know a lot of girls, that's their main goal when they start pageants. To me, it was I wanted to do something, and I really wanted, like I said, work on my confidence. And so from there, I jump-started into this National American Miss pageant. And so, yeah, like I said, you've got those little areas, all those areas of competition. And so it's kind of ranked on that scoring system of a 1 to 10. And so, which I've kind of gotten to know a lot more as I've gotten older and kind of gotten out of it. I've gotten to see kind of the behind behind the scenes of how it works,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of interesting to see. Oh my gosh, why was I scored that way, or why was I not scored that way? So it took me 7 years to win my very first big title, which was National American Miss Teen Oklahoma. So Miss Teen Oklahoma in a short sense. So after I had won that was a 7-year goal that I had worked for, I dreamed of. I mean, my whole family was invested at that point.
That's amazing. You stuck it out for 7 years.
Yeah.
Without winning a big title.
Yeah, it was that
But you kept pushing and pushing. That alone is inspirational.
It was, yeah, and I knew, I said, once I won that title, I was ready to work. I mean, I didn't want to take one day for granted, and my platform in a sense was, it was called Inspiration Through Education, so I really wanted to make it my goal to talk to as many kids, to spread, awareness that they can accomplish their dreams. And I know as a kid, I didn't think that was possible, so having a role model and seeing physically someone who has accomplished their dreams, it's definitely impressionable at such a young age.
For sure.
So, I think I ended up speaking to over about 2,000 kids my freshman year of college when I was Miss Teen Oklahoma. So I really made it my mission and my goal to talk to as many kids as possible. So whether that be, I was volunteering at a local library, I was talking to, assemblies. I really wanted to implement that, you can accomplish those dreams. It may be hard. I am a true testimony of that.
Come on.
That was, and so after I wrapped up my year as Miss Teen Oklahoma, I took a little bit of a break, I guess, if you will. And so there's a Miss program in the same pageant system, which is the one step up from Miss Teen. And so you go into the Miss level. So the Miss level is an appointed system. So there's not actually a pageant held where you compete on stage for the Miss division. So this is actually one of the first years they have now gotten so many girls to be a part of the program that they're now going to host some in-person competitions. So, but back then they didn't have that yet. So I was appointed as the Miss Oklahoma, so I was actually going to go, originally when I was Miss Teen Oklahoma, there's a national pageant in California where I placed top 10 at the national pageant when I was in teen. So my second go around, I knew I was like, okay, I want to be better, I want to push for it, I want to, get even closer than I did the first time, and this I knew was going to be like my last one. After that, I knew it was closing the chapter of a 10-year book, right?
Wow.
So it was no pressure or anything, right?
Yeah, not at all. My goodness.
Yeah, so me and my mom, we went again the second time, and that was in November of 2018, placed in the top 11, and then I also won the title of National Model, which was kind of a culmination of my scores from my modeling, photography, runway modeling. It was kind of a culmination of all those scores put together. So to me, that was a win in my book. And I got to see one of my really good friends win. So I was really excited about that. And I have no regrets looking back at it now. Because, of course, everyone asks me, oh, what are you going to do next? When are you going to do next? And I didn't know at the time what it was going to be. I knew I was I knew I was done, I think, at that time. But I didn't know what was next for me. I knew I was just ready to just live my life. And so, and obviously with pageants, you just have a higher, like we had talked about earlier, my freshman year of college, I didn't get to go out and do as many things as I necessarily would have wanted to, just because I did have, you have a lot of eyes on you, and you just, not that I'm going to go out and do anything crazy, but it's just a lot of responsibility.
If you did do something crazy, even one crazy thing, that's what's going to be focused on.
Yeah, and so I just, and at that point I was a junior in college, and I wanted to just focus on school and really focus on, okay, well, pageants have taught me, it's not all about the pageant, it's about what you do after. So, I've learned how to talk in interviews. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, I think, if I hadn't gone through all that interview prep and that training and being able to talk on stage in a microphone. I think the number one fear is people being able to talk on stage, and then death comes second. So I think being able to overcome one of the biggest fears that most people have, to me, that's a win in my book, because I enjoy it. And I know a lot of people, that's one of their biggest fears. So it helps me in my career. It helps me, expand my business. It helps me talk to people. And, because a lot of people weren't hip on the whole, oh, why are you in pageants? It's very superficial. It's so materialistic, which can definitely be perceived that way. Even my own family members thought, when are you going to give this up? When are you going to you've done what you can do, right? And I said, I'm not done yet, and just watch me, and they sure did. So
that's awesome. Come on, man.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I don't regret a single thing. I don't, at the very end, I wished, I wish I would have won like a national title, but at the same time, I'm like, well, I feel like I impacted as many people as I possibly could, so.
Well, it also means that when you close that chapter of your book, you get to open the next one,
exactly.
Right? And what did that immediate next chapter, was it this immediately?
Yeah, so I rounded out my pageant career in 2018. So that was going into my senior year. I was about to start my senior year of college.
Okay.
So it took a little bit for me to figure out this, but that is when I started, I believe right after that is when I started my internship with Brides of Oklahoma. So I think that's when I really started focusing on what am I going to do post-college, because I had no idea. I had no clue, and I was like, well, maybe I should start figuring that out, So I was getting my degree at OU in journalism, and, I knew I didn't want to do anything, like, broadcast-wise. I didn't want to do anything, for like a newspaper. I knew that just wasn't me, because I had started out at OSU with fashion merchandising. So I knew essentially something like this is what I wanted to do. Now, getting from point A to point B is a whole different story, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so I really just, I knew I was like, I'm just going to work hard in school, and I was ready to get done with school. I mean, I'm not one of those people, I was like, I'm not going to be a fifth year. I'm going to get done. I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to get out, and so I can start my career. I think my mom has always joked that I've been ready to be where I'm at right now since I was 5 years old. So I think, I've been ready to just, I've always wanted to be an adult. And
is your mom the person I saw in the picture dabbing with the unicorn?
That was her.
That was freaking adorable. I love your mom.
Yeah,
I don't know her, but I love her. It's awesome.
Yeah, she's a hoot and a half for sure. I mean, I don't know where I get it from. I don't know. So, but yeah, she's great. And that was one thing is with the pageants, my mom was always my rock and all of that, because she knew, she saw the dream in me too, because it wasn't just my dream, it was her dream for me too. So we knew we were going to go through it together. It wasn't just going to be me on my own. I mean, I paid for a lot of things on my own, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But she definitely supported me through and through the whole way. So yeah, after I wrapped up pageants, I just started living life, and that's when I really just started, focusing on school and just being a college student, because I think for the first 3 years of college, I was just so saturated in, wanting to do pageants. And when you're in that mindset of so goal oriented, you kind of let things fall off, whether that be your friendships, just being a normal college student. I had never done that before. And, so I had a great job. I was just really making those friendships, those connections. I really was getting involved in school and my internships, and I was just busy. So I really got to focus on that. And then essentially, that's when I started working here. So.
Wow.
Yeah. To make a long story short.
That's a big journey.
Yeah,
it's a big journey.
Is, for sure. But
well, thank you for sharing it with me.
Yes, of course.
I'm sure you have some people out there that have maybe been some past customers that want to know your story.
Absolutely. And so I think that's a lot of times people don't know that about me. I think as a kid, I always, growing up when I was doing pageants, I never really, when you'd go to school, okay, name 3 facts about you. I would never really express the pageant side of me. I think in a fear of being judged or...
I can imagine.
Yeah, and so, you hear people like, oh, I'm doing soccer, I'm doing basketball, I'm doing gymnastics. Well, those are all very normal things. You don't hear a lot of girls doing pageants. And then if you do, you get that, oh, she just is into her look. She's into, pretty dresses. And to me, it was always so much more than that. And it still is. And
it's definitely a discipline.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very much a discipline.
Yes.
And I think the fact that it's a discipline that stretches through more than what you're just presenting on stage, but really does stretch to what you do everywhere else.
Absolutely.
Even as a kid, like you hear about, college athletes getting in trouble,
right?
And their athletic scholarships being potentially revoked due to them doing some silly things and things that some people would consider normal, right? But even as a kid, you were going through that, and you had to watch your P's and Q's.
Absolutely. And, like I said, I just was never one to just go with the flow. I definitely felt like sometimes I was going against the grain because I wanted to do things that weren't so typical, and I wanted to be involved in as many activities as possible. And if that meant missing out on a party, that was okay. But I also, life is about balance. So, I think with all that being said, finding a balance of keeping those friendships in check. I was on pom, I was a dancer, so I had many assets of my life going on. So it wasn't just about pageants, because I think what pageants make them so great is that it's not about what you do on stage, it's about what you do off stage. So I think, and that really shows through when you're sitting there talking to somebody in an interview. They can tell if you're just doing it for the show.
Oh, wow.
Or if you're doing it,
I guess that makes sense. They see surely hundreds of girls.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I think to me that was something, once I finally won, I think it was when I finally just started just being exactly who Lexi was supposed to be at that point in time. And so I think the judges really saw that, and they were like, this girl is just, regardless if she wins or not, she's going to make a difference. And that was exactly what I planned to do.
I love it.
I always say wear your invisible crown at all times, because, you never know who's watching, or you never know the impact you can make on somebody, and just because you have a title doesn't mean you have any more of a luxury of impacting people. You just have that voice that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good job.
Yeah.
We'll go for the next one.
Okay, let's do it. All right, I'll just draw the first one.
There we go. I like it. Ooh, it's a long one, too.
Oh, good.
All right. So here's a really great question, and I love asking this question. Yeah. A lot of people, especially me, while opening and operating a small business, we have a spouse or family member that's behind the scenes working really hard to pay the bills and keep us afloat.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it helps us have time and effort to grow this passion of something that we have. What did that and does that look like for you currently?
Absolutely. So I know you and I touched base on this a little bit earlier. So I will say the person who has been through this with me from start to end is definitely my dad. And so, he was the one, he was the first person I had really presented this idea of, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to buy a store. Obviously, I wasn't going to do that on my own. I had no idea where to start, and he had been general manager for a business for about 25 years. So if anybody knew, it was going to be him. So, I presented the idea to him, and he absolutely was like, absolutely, we're going to do this. And I think my dad was more sure than I was at the time. So I had, me and my dad got really close through all of that too. And so, I grew up with divorced parents. So I think this was a way for me and my dad to really build that friendship that I think, every kind of kid goes through, from that transition of, okay, now we're more of that friendship level than we are of like a parent, daughter level. So, he, and still to this day, he's the first person I call when something's wrong. I'm like, hey Dad, this needs to be fixed. Or hey Dad, what do I do about this?
Just a little business advice. He can do it for you.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
I mean, he was the person that, of course, both my mom and dad have been great through all of this. My mom is my roommate right now. So she's kind of the one that gets to see me on that day-to-day basis. But, I think every single successful person has a village that comes along with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like I had told you earlier, my family is really so important to me. And I think that's why I was very happy with the decision of, okay, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to work on something huge here, because then I have my family that comes along with it. So, my grandparents were full on board. My mom was like, let's do it. And so she's been so gracious to let me stay at her house while I'm trying to build this business. At 21 years old, you have no idea what you're doing. And, at a time too where we're in a global pandemic. So, and I opened right in the middle of all that. So it was really scary, because I could have easily gone out and lived on my own, but it was like, you just don't know what the months are going to look like. You don't know if you're going to have a good month or a bad month, or be able to pay those bills that you need to pay. So, they've been there with me through all of it from start to finish. And so through all that being said too, my boyfriend, he is a genius in ways that I can't even fathom. So he's been really helpful in the ways of marketing and, how to make this business better. He's the tech guy. He's the guy that helps me on the back end on the stuff that I don't necessarily know as much about. I can do the front end stuff all day long. It's the part that I struggle with is, yes, you have to run a business at the end of all of it. So, making sure your finances are in check, making sure you pay those bills on time. There's a lot that goes into it that I think a lot of people don't realize. They think, oh, she sells dresses, how fun, and I'm like, oh, girl, you have no idea.
Yeah, that's an intricate thing. Even just selling dresses is an intricate thing.
Right.
You have to worry about things coming in, going out. You have to put in orders. You have to, surely you get sizes for everybody. Like,
oh yeah, and I do it all. I'm a one-woman show in a sense. So
that's amazing.
It's a lot of responsibility, because if one thing goes wrong, it's on me, and I make sure that everything goes smooth from this.
I'm a little bit of a control freak.
Yeah,
as you saw, I was bouncing back and forth checking the audio. I have to see it I have to make sure it's going okay.
Yeah.
Are you kind of the same way? Is
Absolutely.
it easier for you to kind of be a one-woman show right now?
Yeah. And I never thought it would be this long. I thought, oh, I'll, loosen the reins a little bit a few months into owning the business. No, it did not happen that way.
Yeah.
So I really,
I
I like just being hands-on. And I think a sense of it, too, is when you're helping somebody plan their wedding, the stakes are so much higher than if you were just, someone shopping for retail. They buy something off the rack. They don't know where they got it. They forget. But when it comes to weddings, there's options and there's choices. And I think that, I want to make this, since it is such a celebratory time of someone's life, you really want to make that experience rememberable. And, that's something you'll never forget. And I think that's something that I really enjoy, is that this is a time where girls come together that they haven't seen in a couple of years, and they get to have that reunion right here in the store. So it's so much more than just trying on dresses. It's, building those relationships. And I mean, I can definitely say that a lot of my clients have become my friends.
That's awesome. That's a very big deal.
Yeah, and building those relationships, because I don't just want to be, bye, get your dress and then leave and I never speak to you again. I want to be able, if I see you at the grocery store, be like, oh my God, how did it go?
I ask that question to almost everybody that we interview, we talk to, is do you feel a connection basically to your customers?
Yeah.
And everybody says the same thing.
Right.
If they're halfway successful, they say the same thing.
Yeah.
Is I'm not just trying to have a customer and then bye, see you later, maybe never again.
Yeah.
Is they're really making friends out of people.
Right. Well, there's some. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no. There's the people we talk to.
Yeah.
Because I make sure that we talk to people we want to talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
so I think there is a correlation between owning and running a very successful business.
Yeah.
And I think people can tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who cares and who doesn't.
Right. And I mean, in just a sense too, I think my biggest competitor, quote unquote, is an online, shopping experience.
Well, it starts with an A. What is that place called?
Azazi.
I knew what it was. I saw that a while back, and I even saw they have some men's stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was actually kind of impressed with the prices. They have good prices. I can't say they don't.
Yeah.
But you're a person here taking care of people.
Right. And I think that's a thing too, is everyone has to each their own of how they want to go about an experience. But there are definitely those girls who want that experience, and they don't want to buy something online because you can't see the fabric, you can't touch it, you don't know the colors. And to me,
this is a very personal thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when it comes to sizing, the biggest question is, how do I know my size? And here, I take their measurements, so I know exactly what their measurements are to be able to, get them the right size as close as possible. And you don't necessarily get that experience when you're shopping through an online big corporate company.
Absolutely. Well, I can see a necessity for that online company, for people who just cannot afford to do things in person in store, because they are super cheap.
Right.
I see the necessity for that, but if people can afford it and really want to have that personal interaction, I think it's a very big deal.
Definitely. And I think something I've struggled with is that it's okay because not every bride is going to be a Bella bride, or every bridesmaid is going to be a Bella bridesmaid. So, and that's okay because, you're going to get that in any business you're in. You can't meet everyone's needs, and that's okay because you meet the people that do want to spend their money in the places that they want to invest in.
Yeah, my mentor, Taylor Jackson, he's a Canadian photographer. I sent him a question asking him, it's like, how do you book clients when people only want to spend $300, $400, $500 on their photography and videography together? And he had to let me know, it's like, you're never going to make that for a $500 client into a $3,000 client.
Right.
They're never going to be, so there are plenty of people out there who are the clients that we're looking for, in our price range, but you'll just never get there.
Yeah. And like I had said earlier, a lot of times girls come in and they want something off the rack, and I have to tell them, that's just not on our menu. Like I said, it's like,
I love that. That's a great, I'm still in
that. Yeah. It's like ordering a taco at McDonald's. It's just not on the menu. And of course, I want to help everybody as much as I can. So, if I can't help them, I'm going to have a recommendation to where somebody can't help them, because I never want someone to walk out feeling like, that wasn't a good experience. Even if I can't help them, I want to make sure that they're on their way to finding someone who can help them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really big deal. If you were to point them, someone was to leave here, where would you point them to? Is there anywhere local? That's what I really care about, is local.
Yeah, absolutely. and I would say one of our other, I would guess, quote unquote competitors, I mean, is David's Bridal, of course, and they are just more of a mass produced company.
Yeah.
And of course we are a franchise as well. But I think what we benefit from is we have that very small business like feel. We are a small business, you know, in a sense. So we each have it's like a Chick-fil-A. I mean, you know, every individual Chick-fil-A is owned and operated by one person behind the scenes of it all. And I don't know exactly how David's Bridal works and if they have that, but that is something that I feel like people gravitate to come here towards more, is because they like that one-on-one experience. They're the only ones in the store when they come in. I mean, I give them champagne, you know, they don't necessarily, I mean, sometimes you got to depend.
Yeah.
It depends on the client.
Yeah, of course.
It depends on how long I'm ready for them to leave or want them to stay. I'm just kidding.
I hear that. Sierra used to work at a salon, Salon 152.
Yeah.
Do you know where that's at?
I've heard of it, I think.
And she used to work there, and when you come in, they give you a
Yeah.
glass of champagne or Chardonnay or something.
It just makes the experience better. I mean, you know, even if you're not a drinker, you're like, I just feel fancier.
I was just coming to pick her up, but I got a glass of champagne, and I was like, okay,
yeah.
that stuck with me.
Yeah,
that's good.
Exactly. And I think just making those small interactions and just, you know, making sure, like, every customer feels important. Because, I mean, yeah, I'll see on a Saturday, I'll see 5 different bridal parties. But I think what I love about the job in just a general sense is that every single group of girls comes in is looking for something completely different, or just, you know, no group is the same.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that sense that I know I'm never going to be doing the same thing. Obviously, yeah, I am selling dresses, and that's the same thing day in and day out, but it is different groups of people, different groups of life from everywhere. So, because people do come in from Oklahoma, and I've even had some girls come in from Texas and even Kansas, depending on how close they are to our store.
That's cool.
Yeah, so which is really cool too, that people are willing to make that drive all the way to come here and shop.
There's obviously a value here.
Yeah, exactly, and so it makes me
go.
happy that they want to come here and shop for their dresses.
That's awesome.
So,
Cool. We'll go for the next one.
Let's do it. All right.
That's very deceptive. You see how thick that one is?
I know,
It's
that one,
a
I was like, that's
line.
like a big one.
Okay, so give me a highlight in your business so far, something that you're just really proud of.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so many things to be proud
Yeah,
of.
of course.
Gosh, you know, I think, you know, it's hard to highlight just one thing. I think really just making the store my own, and really being proud of it in a sense that I feel like I really built this from the ground up. Of course, like I said, I have my support team, but at the end of it all, like, I am the sole...
You put the work in.
Yeah, I am the sole proprietor. I'm the person who shows up every day and stays late. I'm the only one here who walks those doors. Yeah, you can have people help you all day long, but at the end of the day, I'm the one putting in the work, putting in the effort, and making sure everything runs, you know? And being that one-woman show, I think I'm really proud of that. And I know that if you want to grow and become more successful, that, yeah, you do have to hire on people. But I think up to this point, I'm just proud that I've been able to hold it down myself, and just, you know, get opportunities like this to be able to talk about it. And so, yeah, I'm just proud of that in a general sense of just being able to do this all on my own.
I'd call that a highlight.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Cool, we'll go for it.
Yep, let's do it.
Some of them are going to be quick like that.
Yeah, that's okay. That's
Ooh, it's a
easy.
skinny one. Look at that one. Oh, little one. So I have obviously never bought a bridesmaid dress for myself. What is the price range? Because these are some beautiful gowns that I'm looking at here. What, like, from like the lowest thing to the most expensive thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I try to say is that there really is a dress for every bride and bridesmaid in here. You know,
Okay.
Of course, you know, I would say starting at that 150, obviously, kind of like 150 to 175 is where I would say starting point wise is. But I would say our dresses are more on the luxury side. So, you know, you're going to get more high quality dresses. And
They're
what
going to hold up for quite a while.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I don't want it necessarily, I mean, of course there are dresses you're going to wear one time and throw it in your closet and you'll never see it again. But my hope is that they get a dress that hopefully they can wear somewhere else, or they'll remember that as a dress that they felt beautiful in and they felt confident in, because I think there's this stigma that, oh, bridesmaids dresses are ugly. And that's always been a thing. Like,
Really?
I feel like back in the day, you know, oh, we've always worn an ugly, like, everyone's worn an ugly bridesmaid dress, you know? It's just always been a stereotype. And so, you know, I think when girls come in, I always say, you know, bridesmaid shopping doesn't have to be a dreadful thing or something like, oh, I just need to get this crossed off my list. Like, it's something I want them to look forward to and have a good experience out of it. Because I know trying on dresses and trying it on with like 5, 6, 7 girls can be intimidating. And that was something a bride told me one time, is that I create a very, safe space. And I think because as girls, we just have, image issues and just body issues. And so I want to make sure that every single woman that walks in the door, make sure that they feel special and like regardless.
Feel included and very secure.
Absolutely. Because I mean, there's just so many times where, I've seen girls get disheartened or discomforted, and that's kind of where my role steps in, being able to make sure that they feel comfortable and just confident in their own skin. So
that's awesome. Very big deal.
Thanks.
Cool. Then we'll go for the next one.
Let's do it. Just going right along.
Yeah. First 3 took a bit, but we got these ones and we're just
I know. We're
cooking.
Busting them out.
Okay. So go ahead and describe for me what your typical day looks like. You come to the store, you unlock the doors, what happens?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would definitely say, a weekday looks very different than what a Saturday looks like, for example. A typical weekday, I take advantage of that by appointment only. So if I'm not here right at 11, I'll be here. So a typical, just a weekday to me will look like answering emails, answering the phone, steaming dresses in the back. But a Saturday, on the other hand, I make sure everything's up and going. I've got that champagne ready to go. I've got all the lights turned on, everything. The music's happy and inviting. And we start and we go right on in. And usually those appointments are back to back. There's really no breaks in between. The racks may look a mess in between, but I try to make them look as straight as possible. The day flies by on a Saturday. But there's never a day where I feel like I'm not busy or feeling, there's definitely days that are busier than others, of course, in every job, but there's always something to do, especially as an owner. There's always something to do, whether that be steaming the dresses, unboxing dresses, ordering new samples, taking things to the tailor, the dry cleaner. There's always something going on, but the Saturdays are definitely the moneymaker days.
We were saying earlier that, October is a really busy month for us.
Yes, for sure.
But I imagine for bridesmaids dresses and for other dress shops, it's not as busy for you guys. Is that correct?
It's kind of hard to tell because a typical busy season, it's hard to tell because now COVID has just kind of jacked everything.
It's all over.
Right, what's a busy season and what's not, because weddings are just all the time now. So I remember last year it got really, really busy around November, December. I think just because people are starting to plan for those May, June, July weddings of next year. I feel like that's really when a big chunk of weddings happen. And you have to always think in retrospect, it's 6 to 8 months before is when you really need to get the dresses. So, right now it's hard because I'm working with next July, and it's hard to imagine, what's in style, what's going to be in trend, next July, and you're buying dresses right now. So
you don't do alterations or anything like that yourself, right? Where do you send to?
Yeah, so I have a tailor that I work with. Great, it's On's Tailor Shop. She's a doll. I try to send as many girls as possible to her. Okay. But yeah, she's just so sweet, and she's always willing to help me out if I have a broken zipper or a button that needs to be sewn on or something.
You were talking about 6 to 8 months in advance, and I'm thinking that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time for things to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know I change in 6 months pretty good.
Absolutely. And I think that's a thing too, is that you have to be really sure, and you have to just trust the process too, because even though things change, I think that's why these dresses are beautiful, so I don't feel like necessarily, I'm sure we'll look back in 20 years and be like, what the heck, but
yeah, I hope not.
That's with everything though,
So,
even photography, we look back at pictures from 20 years ago and we're like, oh my god, the editing, so I just think everything changes, and so I'm like, whatever. I tell my girls, they're like, oh, I want it to be timeless. I'm like, regardless, you're going to look back and that was what you wanted at that time in your life, and that's what was important to you. So if that's what matters, that's what matters at the time. So I really try to push that for girls, because they're like, it is a long time, and I think a lot of girls, because they'll buy their wedding dress a year out in advance sometimes, and they're like, oh, am I going to still love my dress? And I've had some girls that time goes on and they not necessarily love the dress as much, but I always kind of have to remind them, okay, why did you fall in love with this dress in the first place? Remember that reason. But I haven't had to deal with that too much. There's always going to be some second guessers, but you just have to handle it right.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. Cool.
Next
we'll
one.
Go. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
So my next question for you are, what outlets are you watching for new wedding trends? Because you order your own dress, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So you have to make sure that you're up to date on wedding trends and what things people like.
Yeah.
What are you watching for that?
Yeah, so I think a great thing, that Bella Bridesmaids has, given us as a whole franchise is really keeping us up to date on things, as far as trends go, what's going to be in trends, what do we need to get rid of, so every, new season, a new line will come out or something, and we get to pick which ones we want, obviously, and something to keep in mind that I think I probably struggle with a little bit is, okay, I may like this, but that doesn't mean everybody's gonna like that.
Yeah.
And getting things in that might not necessarily like myself, but I know that there is something for everybody. So really focusing on, well, okay, what's trending as far on just a local aspect as far as just brides, what I'm seeing, what's what am I just seeing? But the designers do a really good job of kind of presenting us, the new seasons of what's gonna be coming. I mean, I wish right now is Bridal Fashion Week in New York, and trust me, I wish I was there. I wish I was one of those stores that was up there. Oh, we can just go for the afternoon, But for me, I'm like, oh no, that's a whole trip for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can't just, take off a Wednesday or whatever. But, so they do a really good job of keeping us in the loop and keeping us included as to, what's going to be in style and what do we need to get rid of. And sometimes it's hard to let go some of those, those good dresses that have made us lots of sales. But, making sure that we make way for the new dresses that are going to be coming in, those new styles. And, sometimes purchasing things you just don't like necessarily, but, you have to spend money to make money.
Absolutely.
So,
do you guys have a behind-the-scenes chat or anything like that where you guys can talk to each other?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. We have a Facebook group, which, I use the crap out of that.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing, too, is a lot of people ask me, what's benefit-wise, what's the benefit of being that franchise, and why don't you just go out and do it on your own? And that's just a big asset of it too, is just having stores that you feel like you are a unity of, they know what's going on just as much as you do, and you can relate to them. Hey, there's this crazy mother of the bride, how do I handle this? And so having that kind of support system and just getting that advice from, because some of those Bella stores have been open for 10 years, and so it's really nice to be able to lean on them for support and being like, how would you handle this situation? Because the biggest part of this job is customer service and making sure that customers leave happy, and then understanding that not everyone's going to leave happy. So, that Facebook group chat, I am on there every day and checking in. And another thing, too, is if there's something wrong with a dress, oh, hey, does anybody have the M. Sala Eden dress in a size 4?
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, and so it's really nice. Or, I've sold so many dresses just to other Bellas just because they were in a pinch, and likewise, they'll do the same for me. So it's just that nice support to have that, and so you don't ever feel like you're just completely on your own.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
So, yeah,
cool.
Really
we'll go
fun.
for the next one.
Yeah, let's do it.
What challenges and advantages did you find yourself when you decided to start this franchise during the height of the pandemic specifically?
Yeah.
Because we did the same thing. I don't know if I told you that or not, but we started January 2020.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, we started January 2020, and it was right when things were kicking off.
Yeah.
So
same thing with me. Yeah. Decided I was going to purchase in January of 2020. Obviously, March is kind of when the height of everything, I feel like, started kicking in, and then that kind of those next months. Luckily, I had always decided I was going to open the store in July, just the way that it worked out as far as my schedule with school, and the past owner was willing to just hold off until that July 1 date. So, I think as far as the biggest struggle of what I faced is just not knowing. It was such a time of unknown, I'm sure, for you guys as well, and just not knowing what that looks like. And I look back and I'm like, I feel like I should have been way more scared than I was.
Yeah.
But I feel like I just kind of rolled with it because I was like, I knew everything was going to go back to normal. I knew that it wasn't going to be like that forever. I didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. I didn't think we would ever shut down, of course.
Yeah. I'm thankful we didn't shut down for too awful long.
Yeah.
For sure. There's some places that are still shut down, and that drives me nuts. Yeah. I want to be in California so bad.
Yeah.
I'd love to go to the beach and just enjoy the time, but everything is messed up.
Yeah, absolutely. That was... It's very interesting. So before I opened the store, my training was in Chicago, where Bella headquarters is, and that was another. It seemed like it was just one roadblock after another, and so we had originally had this trip planned. Well, COVID was always going to be an aspect of it. We knew we weren't going to be able to go out and do as many things as we'd like to do in a city like Chicago. Well, then the riots started happening in downtown Chicago. Well, Bella Bridesmaids is right downtown Chicago.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Was the store safe?
The store was safe. It was on a second floor, so that they didn't have to board up any windows or anything like that. But, it was like me and my mom just going downtown to Oklahoma City or to downtown Chicago, and we're not used to anything like that here. And so, it just seems like that was literally 1 week before I opened the store. The trip got postponed a couple of weeks. So we went to my training in Chicago, and I opened the store a week later.
Wow.
And so I had undergone all that training in such a short amount of time. I mean, I didn't even have the walls painted yet because I was waiting to get my training done. So that last week, right before I opened, it was, paint was going on the walls, the signs were going up. I mean, everything was happening at the same time. So it was very overwhelming, and just because I didn't feel like I had a lot of time to process. But, I mean, by golly, I did it. And, I mean, but looking back, I'm like, I don't understand how I thought I could do an online at the time, it was an in-person class.
Yeah.
I mean, another blessing in disguise that COVID gave us, because, I mean, I was going to be in school that whole month leading up to July from 12 to 5 every single day. And I'm like, how did I think I was going to do that? How did I think I was going to be able to work on the store every single day? Because, I mean, it was every single day, I was working towards the store. So, and literally I took my final the morning of the store opening. Like, I took the final, and then I just came straight to the store. And, it was like on a Wednesday.
Talk about closing a chapter, opening it. Like, literally, you're reading a book. It's like, okay, next chapter.
Literally,
immediately.
Closed my computer, went to the store. So it was, but I don't remember being like that stressed out about it. I think looking back to the time, I knew everything was going to work out exactly how it was supposed to. And that was a thing, too, because I remember not really knowing what I was going to do post-grad. And I remember it being like that November, December time, wrapping up my first semester of senior year. And everybody was, had their jobs lined up for them. And I wasn't, for some reason, I just wasn't scared. And that's just not like me, to not have everything lined up and just have a plan and have a backup plan to my backup plan, right? But I knew I was like, opportunities come to those who put out good things in the world. And, and 2 months later is when I got the opportunity to buy the store.
Wow.
So it really, and that was a part of it that I knew I was doing exactly what I was supposed to do. I never really questioned, okay, is this the right thing? Of course I was scared, and I was scared like, oh, is this going to work? But I never questioned for a second that I wasn't doing what Lexi was supposed to be doing.
That's awesome.
So.
That's awesome. Like your mom said, you've been waiting since you were 5 years old,
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I feel like I've always been like one step ahead of like, not like what everybody else was doing, but just like we had talked about, like when I was in college, I was more focused on my goals and what I was doing, and and I think just being one step ahead as far as just like I always wanted to be doing what the next thing was, and just having that plan ahead. But I think once I've settled into this position, I know like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and I've never questioned that.
That's amazing. I think that might be a trait of successful people, is to focus not on the step you're taking, but on the next one coming up.
Absolutely.
I think that could be a very, very, very big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great. We'll go for it.
All right.
Thank you.
There you go.
I like your nails, by the way.
Thank you. They're grown out. Tomorrow's nail day, so don't look too close.
All right. So having just celebrated your 1 year anniversary here at Bella Bridesmaids,
Yes, you're good.
What is the most important lesson you think you've learned from this, and whether that has to do with your personal life or your business growth?
Oh gosh, so many lessons. It's hard to just like.
Yeah, when I ask you for one, it's like, well, I can write a book.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that, when things look really hard and you don't see a way out of it. I think knowing that as long as you push through and you work every single day, you're going to get to where you want to be. Right before I opened the store, I was at one of probably the darkest times of my life. I mean, I felt like I had no purpose, and I really didn't know where I was going to go. And so when I opened the store, like I said, that was really when I kind of grasped onto, oh my gosh, this is what I'm put on this earth to do. And so I think the biggest lesson is like, when things look really hard or you have really bad days at the store, it's not going to always be sunshines and rainbows. But I think learning that those good days and those days of good sales, to me, it's never been, of course, yes, it's about making money, but to me, it's more about the money will come. The money will come. The money will come as long as you put in the hard work and you make those connections and those relationships. You're going to have good people come your way. There's been some times where I'm like, okay, I haven't had any appointments this week, but really learning to kind of relish in those times, because when it is busy, sometimes I feel like like I can't keep my head above water. So really kind of honing in on those times when it is quiet, and knowing that it will be okay and we'll get through it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm reading this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Have you ever read the book?
No, I haven't.
It's been one of the best-selling financial books
Really?
for 20 years.
Okay, I have
and
to.
yeah, it's a fantastic one. I have a copy. If you want it when I'm done with it, I'll definitely let you borrow it.
I'd love to read it.
So Rich Dad Poor Dad, inside this book, one of the main lessons is the wealthy, the rich do not work for money. The same way you were saying, okay, I haven't had anything, you know, in the last week. You're not working for the money as much as you're working for, you know, accomplishing a goal.
Right. Absolutely.
You're not pushing forward for the paycheck. You're pushing forward because this is where I want to be. You know, you're not as focused on getting that money in the bank account.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is what the rich and successful and wealthy do. And as long as you keep doing that, obviously, you know, I don't think you have any doubt in your mind.
Yeah.
I definitely don't have any doubt in my mind that that's exactly what's going to happen. It's
Yeah.
just this asset of yours is just going to keep growing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, because during the time of a pandemic, you do not know what the next day is going to look like to the next. But I think we're luckily in a state where people have kind of just pushed forward and they're going to have their weddings regardless of what's going on. And that may be why we have the worst cases in the country.
We're pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But, you know, at the same time, you know, I think that's something like as long as you really, I really do believe in manifesting and just being like, it's going to be okay. It's going to work.
Like the law of attraction type stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And, you know, just being like, this is going to work. And I think as long as, like I had said earlier, as long as you put out good things in the world, good things are going to happen to you.
Yeah, so, I love that.
Yeah.
Almost every religion has a form of that, whether that's, you know, you sow what you reap in Christianity or, you know, karma or something like that. You know, everybody really focuses on put it out there, it's going to come back to you.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Good things come to those who wait, so
absolutely.
I believe in that.
We'll go for it.
All right.
Thank you very much. All right, little one. Tell me the story of how and why you decided to buy Prim.
Yeah. So I think like what I decided, you know, what really made it was more of just like an intuition feeling, you know. I didn't really think, oh yeah, this is the right thing to do. I just thought I have this really I've always been such a goal getter is what I say. I'm a go getter but a goal getter.
I love that actually.
Yeah,
okay.
Because
I thought you misspoke, but you didn't.
No, it's intentional, right? Yeah, so really, you know, there's never been something I've put my mind to that I didn't accomplish.
Go on.
And of course, I've had my failures along the way, but I think when you face times of adversity, every single time I've had those really hard times in my life, something good has come around the corner. So, you know, I'm like, sometimes the harder this time is now, the better the result is going to be. So buying Prim, you know, it was a big step because not only was I buying into a franchise, I was also, you know, upholding this reputation that Prim had for 7 years up to that point.
Oh, wow.
So it was a lot. Yeah, again, no pressure.
Yeah, really.
So, you know, I really was not only just starting a business, it was taking on that reputation that Prim already had and, you know, continuing on those relationships because not only was I, you know, starting all these new clients, but I was continuing on the relationships and the orders from all of Allison's clients as well. So, you know, that was another thing too, is that I was, I remember right when I had first opened, there was a big, a COVID delay and all these shipments of orders and things were running like a month behind. And here I was, you know, they weren't my sales, but I was the one having to take on all the responsibility and I had people demanding refunds and knocking on my door.
Oh, that's stressful.
A month into opening, right? And here I am like, I've never had a customer service issue to that extreme in my life, and here I am dealing with it 1 month into opening as an owner, you know, and she's like, well, you're the owner, you need to figure this out.
Did you get any bad reviews due to that?
No, luckily I didn't.
Oh, thank God.
I know.
Because that hurts.
Yeah, and I think it's not the situations, it's how you handle them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, looking back, I guess I handled it well, and, you know, I've had some people that, I've had one bad review, and I'll never forget it, but you know, and she didn't say anything bad. She just left a 1 star, and it was a busy day in the store.
That's enough. But you remember that 1 star, don't you?
I will never forget it. Yeah. And, you know, and that was, again, right after I'd opened. But I think, you know, yeah, it was taking on that reputation of Prim and moving it over. That was such a big step for me because Allison really, I felt like I had that reputation to uphold because she had really built it from the ground up. So, you know, I was taking on that, but also making it my own. So it was a blend of both combined.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good
it was
job.
a big thing. It was like, it's looking back now, I'm like, Yeah, I guess I did do that.
There's a bit of terrifying nature to that.
Yeah.
That you just push through.
I know, and I mean, I look back and I'm like, gosh, I talk about this to people, and I'm like, why was I scared? I don't remember.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember.
You don't remember if you were scared, and if you weren't, like,
I mean,
why not?
Yeah,
because it makes sense. It would make sense to be absolutely terrified.
Yeah, because I mean, back in April of 2020, I was sitting on my couch every single day eating just popcorn all day long, and not being able to do anything. And like I said, I am one of those people that I have got to keep going, and I am always busy. I mean, I would fill up my plate because I'm a dangerous person when I'm slow and when I don't have a lot going on. When I'm busy, that's my best self. And so,
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, that was scary, but I also don't remember being worried about it either. I mean, I guess I just knew. I just knew in the society we were in, I knew weddings were going to keep happening. I knew whether they're big or they're small, there's going to be a reason to wear a dress, and we're still here, so
awesome. We're
still having this conversation. So it was a time where I just felt like it was just a lot of uncertainty, but I mean, I really again manifested that everything was going to be all right, and it is. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Great, we'll go for it.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, do you find yourself having a mentor in business or maybe in the wedding space, even the fashion space, if you find yourself looking up to someone in that space? You already talked about your dad, and I think that's amazing. My dad is a big influence to me, and so I can really relate to that. But anywhere else, do you find a mentor?
Yeah, absolutely. So a really cool story. So when I had I had this huge party in July. I actually have a couple that I'll touch on because there's just not one person that I can just kind of touch on. But, I had this huge party. I'd been looking forward to it for months. I'd been planning with one of my favorite planners, Brandy with Blue Chalk Events. And I'll talk about her, too, because she's a big part of my life.
I've heard of Blue Chalk Events. Yes. I haven't got to work with her yet.
She's amazing. So Brandy helped me it was like a wedding, I swear. It was like a wedding to myself. I felt like it was the best thing ever. And so, I had all these high emotions running, and I remember I was standing right out there, and I remember turning, and I saw Erin, who is the owner of Bella Bridesmaids franchise.
Oh, wow.
And she flew in from Chicago for one night to the party. I had no idea she was coming, and I've only met her one time in person when we went to Chicago. Obviously, worked with her so much, talked to her. At the beginning, I talked to her, I think, every single day when I opened. But, that to me was just like, oh my gosh, like, she came all the way down for one night. She was in Oklahoma City for like 8 hours, I think, flew back like the next morning.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so to me, that was just like,
that's a leader.
Yeah, and that to me, that just really showed like this is more than just like a franchise. It's like a family, and I've never met any of the other Bella owners, but I'm really excited. In November, we're going to Chicago. They have this big Bella Bash that they put on every year. Didn't get to do it last year, obviously, but all the Bella owners go, and all the designers go. So I'm so excited about that.
We'll definitely be watching for that.
Yes,
sounds like a blast. It's
gonna be really cool. My poor boyfriend, I'm dragging him along, but he's my business partner in a way too, so he'll have to come with me. But
that's awesome.
So I think to me, of course I cried because I was just like, oh my gosh, like to me, her going out of her way to just. If she owns Bella Bridesmaids as a franchise, she's got 60 stores to worry about, and she took the one day to come down and celebrate the 1 year Bella. So that was really, really cool to me. And then going back to Brandy, there's a couple, I could talk about so many people, but Brandy and me have been really close, and we've collaborated on so many things, on style photo shoots, she's planned so many weddings that I've been a part of as, providing the dresses or whatever. But I think when I really realized Brandy was such an important part of my life is we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I was just kind of dealing with some hard stuff, and she looked at me and she was like, are you okay? And I wasn't okay, obviously, and I was trying to hold it together, and she just hugged me, and that was all I needed. We didn't talk. We were just like, it's gonna be all right, and we kept moving forward. And I think it's people like that in the wedding industry that I know will be people that I have with me, just not in the weddings, but in my life in general. So just having really, really good people in your corner go a long way. So
that's a big deal.
It was really cool. Both of those girls. I could talk about a million people, but they're awesome.
What? I'm sorry. One more time. What was the name of the owner? The
franchise. Erin. Yeah.
Erin. Okay. Erin and
Brandy.
And Brandy.
Yeah, they're just amazing women, and like I said, you are who you run with. And so I think having people like that in my life, make me want to be better and to pursue more and to be an inspiration as well, like they are to me. So,
good job.
Yeah.
Good job on getting yourself in that circle.
Thank you. Because it's easy, I think, to get in the wrong circle.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, in college, not that I have such great friends and they're amazing, but it's easy to get in those circles where you feel more tempted to just go along with what everyone else is doing. And, it's hard, you want to be cool and you want to fit in and you want to have lots of friends. And I think the older I get, the more I realize, it's kind of almost better to have a smaller circle. Yeah. And so, because, I deal with girls and their friends all the time. So, I get to really see, like, the girls that have a really good connection and a really good bond. You can tell that they are just really tight-knit. And then you can tell the girls who have, like, 15 bridesmaids. Don't get me started on why you'd have 15. But.
Yeah. We've done some weddings. What was it 16, 17 bridesmaids?
Crazy.
At that one, I don't want to say any names.
Yeah.
But we only had one like that, so you either remember it or you don't.
You remember.
It was like 16 bridesmaids.
It was like 4 dudes.
Well, no, he had like a lot.
Did he?
Of guys.
I don't remember. I was focused on the girls.
Yeah.
It was a
not in a weird way.
Right. No, I know what you mean.
Bridal party.
Yeah, but that's awesome. It's really cool. Does it ever turn into like a party in here when the girls show up?
There's some times where
you're giving out wine and you're getting a bunch of people together.
Sparingly. I mean, you gotta read the room a little bit and be like, okay, we ain't got time to sit around and chit chat all day, because
awesome.
On a Saturday it's pretty back to back. So, but I mean. I think, like, the biggest thing is, like, I've just gotten to know so many girls, and another big part of it, too, that I think a lot of people don't realize is, I deal with women going through, like, IVF treatments and just going through pregnancies and losing their babies and things like that girls really open up to me. Sometimes I'm like, I swear I'm like a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear. And, because I will have bridesmaids come to me and say, hey, I ordered a size, 10 dress and I lost the baby or something, And so it's really hard to, obviously I'm going to make do whatever we need to do. But, and then it could be vice versa. Hey, just found out I'm pregnant and I'm going to be 9 months pregnant at the wedding, or, vice versa. So it's, dealing with that and dealing with that behind the scenes. I mean, these girls really open up to me. So, dealing with that and taking that in it's a lot, and especially at my age, because I've never dealt with anything like that. Yeah. So, and so that's kind of a whole other thing in itself. But I've gotten to know some really incredible, strong women that have gone through a lot in their life, and trust me, they tell me all about it. And I feel kind of honored that, like, I have known first. I mean, I remember one girl one time told me she was pregnant and she hadn't even told her husband yet. She's like, he's been golfing.
Wow.
He's been golfing. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm proud to know that you told me first, I guess. I mean, I'm sorry he's been golfing.
Kind of feel honored.
Yeah. So,
but also bad.
Yeah, I know. But, and so.
That's great.
It's been really cool just to kind of have that relationship with girls, and just, it's more than just, I mean, I've even had, when my grandma passed in July, I had a client who literally sent me flowers from Tony next door. And to me, that's those kinds of relationships where you're like, you're more than just a bride, you are a true, like, and that was the week of her wedding. So I'm like, wow. She took the time out of the week of her wedding to send me flowers, and I'm like, I'm one vendor of her, you know what I mean? So it was really cool, and it was a big wedding. So to me, I felt really honored. So it was cool.
Awesome. We'll go for it.
Awesome.
So, quick question: where do you get your dresses from?
Yeah, so Bella Bridesmaids has set designers, and luckily that was another great thing from transitioning to Prim to Bella, is we carried all the same designers, which was very great, and then I got to add on some as well. Who
are some of the designers that
I carry about 10, so just a few just right off the bat. I mean, I've got names up there. But I've got Jenny Yu, Msala, we've got Two Birds, Desi, Haley Page, Adriana, Papel. The list kind of continues on and on, but those are kind of the main ones we carry. So so it's really cool. So we've got those set designers, and every designer kind of brings something different to the table. So whether that be price point, fabrics, anything like that. If a bride comes in looking for something, I want satin dresses, I know I'm going to lead her to Msala or Jenny Yu, just because I know that that's more of a designer that's going to cater to what they're looking for. One of my personal favorites, and I'm sure you've looked at those crazy ones tied up there and wondered what the heck are those.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, so that's a designer designer that I brought on when it was one of the very first ones I brought on. So it's Two Birds. They are based out of New York, and so they are known for the convertible dress. So the dress basically can be tied 30 different ways. It's like 15 to 20 different ways, but I've kind of come up with some of my own. So I say 30. So it's kind of crazy. I know it's one of those things I would have to show you, but it's
we'll
pretty
put an
cool.
overlay up here.
Show you like what I'm talking about. But yeah, so it's really cool. So essentially you could have, all girls in the same party. It kind of caters to one dress that kind of fits everybody. And it's been one of my most popular ones because girls want same dress, different styles, so that dress provides that, so they can kind of come up with something that looks good and everybody feels comfortable in. So it's one of my favorites just because it does give you the most versatility in a dress, and then you can wear it again and again and again. So
that's a big deal.
Yeah,
wow.
for sure. I know, it's kind of cool.
I wish I wore dresses. That's really cool.
I know, you're like, I wish I had that, but some girls have just bought them because, like, you can wear that for so many reasons and so many times again. So, and there's like a jumpsuit version, and I'm like, oh, what could you do wrong with that? So I'm like, oh, I need one for myself. I always say that and I forget. But yeah, I've got plenty on my plate, so I'm like, I don't need any more dresses in my life. I've got 800 here. I don't need more.
You have 800 here?
Yeah, between this and then I've got a back room back there with all of like discontinued dresses and just kind of dresses on hand.
And do you still sell those? What happens with those discontinued ones?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the mix right now. I think what I want to do, and luckily since we've been able to implement the new local Instagrams that I told you about, I want to try to do like a sample sale soon. I know a lot of stores, Bella stores, have had some luck with, just trying to get rid of some of their samples in the back and just clear some space. I've donated them before, but obviously if you can make money, that's great too.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I mean, tax write-off is one thing, but being able to see that return, because, I did invest in a lot of those samples. I mean, when I bought the store. So, I would love to clear the space back there, but I do like kind of keeping a little bit of a sample inventory just so if somebody comes in and they're looking for something right away and they need something off the rack, I've got something back there that I can show them and provide them. I've had ladies come in sometimes if they're in a pinch and they'll kind of wander through the racks, and if something works and it fits them, by all means buy it. I can get another one. But then that's kind of like a double-edged sword because then a girl will come in next week and I'm like, oh, I need that dress.
Yeah, oh, no.
And I got to wait 3 months to get a new one. So
wow.
that's kind of tricky. And but then I can borrow from a Bella Bridesmaid another location. So it's got that kind of both sides of it, So
that's great. Cool. We'll go for the next one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you.
I know you're like wanting to see that dress all untied now, right?
It's really cool. Like I'm gonna take a video.
Yeah,
is
you'll
that right?
have to. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. We'll overlay
I'll
it.
show you what it looks like.
That's really cool. Where would you like to see this shop go in 5 years?
Oh gosh.
Do you have any dreams on mind?
I mean, of course, like I want this store to become the best it can be, because people have asked me, oh, would you ever move? And personally, I love the space. It's only been a year, so I can't.
This is a great location.
I love it. I do.
Except for the cookie shop right on there. I would be in so much trouble.
Yeah, I know. I love the space. I mean, it's such a great area because it is Nichols Hills and it's Oklahoma City, but I also cater to Edmond and it's not far.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really...
You're right off of 74 right here.
Yeah, exactly. So, as far as the store, I think it only can go up from here. I think eventually I'd really like to put a Bella in Tulsa.
Okay.
That's kind of a long-term goal. I don't know when or how, or that's a whole other
Don't know about
subject.
5 years,
Yeah.
but at some point you'd like to.
I really would, because I get a lot of Tulsa girls, and everyone always says you need to put a Bella in Tulsa. I'm like, okay, give me a second, But I think there is a great demand and a market for it, because they end up coming here, and I think if there was a Bella there, it would definitely be utilized, and I would get a lot of good customers from it. But I think the thing that I struggle with, I'm like, oh, so like how would I run 2 stores, and then would I need to be there? So there's so many factors that go into it, obviously, which down the road we'll get there. But I think eventually it could be a really great asset to not just this store, but the girls in Tulsa as well.
Absolutely. So. Do you ever think do you think you're gonna hire anybody on here?
I will. I think, because Bella, the franchise, always asks me, oh, when are you going to hire? And I'm like, I don't know. So, but I think the thing of it is right now is, like, I still am, like, getting the whole finance thing under check. And I'm like, I haven't even really, it's hard to pay yourself when, there's so much to pay for,
Absolutely.
And the bills come, and whether you want them to or not, they're going to come. And
yeah.
So, I think I'm like, well, I could pay someone else or I could pay myself. So
that's,
mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword.
And if you can manage the work.
Right.
There's no reason to not.
Exactly. And I think to me, because I've been in the position of I expect that paycheck every 2 weeks regardless. And, and I think as the owner, I see everything. So I see the money coming in, and every time I get, $200 hit your account, I mean, it would be really hard to just put that on a check, and not give it to me. But of course, I know with time, to be able to grow your business, you have to be able to bring on more. But like you said, it is manageable right now. I do feel like I like to be the one, in control and kind of,
What would have to happen? What would have to happen for you to want to hire on someone else?
I think being able to not handle it all, I mean, there definitely have been times where I've struggled and been like, oh, is it time? But I think you definitely know when it's the time to hire, and I haven't quite felt that need yet, and I think it's a big responsibility,
It
and
is.
being someone's source of income, and the money is there, it's but it's kind of scary, because whether the store's making money or not, that stylist is they're gonna get their paycheck. So I think it's one of those things. If we weren't in a COVID world, I know that it probably sounds like an excuse, and I'm probably just delaying it because COVID doesn't really seem to be affecting Oklahoma anymore.
Oklahoma doesn't know what it is.
Yeah. So but it's just, I think of it as a sense of I'll feel ready when I'm ready. And it may just be I'll have to take a leap of faith and just do it. I've had a lot of girls reach out to me, are you hiring? But I take a lot of pride in being a one-woman show, so maybe it's a pride thing. But
maybe when it gets to the point where you're so overwhelmed that your boyfriend comes to you, it's like, hey babe, you have to do this.
Yeah, and I think there are just things I don't like to do that I probably could have someone else do. And even if it's an intern, a free intern.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because you interned quite a lot.
I did, and I loved it, and I think, I think it's just, I really like the way things are right now. So I think once that kind of changes, and you always know when there's a time for growth and when you're ready to just stop doing the same thing. So, we'll see when it gets there, but because I do not like steaming dresses, let me tell you.
I'm curious, because I haven't even thought about taking an intern on for us, but we plan on taking on other photographers in the future to be able to go shoot multiple events in one day. It would be fantastic. What kind of paperwork and legal stuff do you have to go through to have an intern, I wonder?
I don't know. That's a great question, and I'm sure I will cross that bridge when I get there.
Right.
I think with an intern, it's not as much as, if you hired somebody, because I think an intern, as long as you can give them school credit, that's all I got out of my internship. So, I think it's when you start paying someone that it gets a little bit more tricky. But, I definitely, I want that, I want to be able to provide that experience for someone like Brides gave me. So I think that time will come, and I've only been open a year, so it's
you have so much time.
It's hard to get ahead of yourself and be like, oh, what's going on next? But just being happy, I'm very happy where I'm at, and it can only go up from here.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm excited.
Well, let's go for the next one.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. What unique qualities do you feel like this business holds that other bridesmaid dress shops may not?
So I as far as I know, I believe Bella Bridesmaids is the only company that just sells bridesmaids dresses.
When I wrote that question, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Now
so
I
that's
know.
really cool.
Yeah. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know as far as other states. I know in Oklahoma, we are the only bridesmaids only shop. And I know that is pretty much the case across the board. You really don't go to a lot of places that just sell bridesmaids dresses.
Yeah. It's because bridal dress shops, period, is a niche. It's a really tight niche.
Right.
So to make a sub niche out of that is amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a market for it, and there's a demand. I mean, I wouldn't be here if there wasn't. So, because Bella Bridesmaids has been around for about, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, don't come after me. I think it's 13 years. I believe it's around 13 years.
Okay.
So I could totally be wrong. But
You're in the email right now.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. But it's been around long enough to realize that there's going to always be a need for it. I mean, every single wedding y'all go to, there's bridesmaids, right? Yeah. So, I think as long as people are getting married. I mean, I was actually reading an article not too long ago, and bridesmaids have been around since the early, late 1800s, early 1900s. I was reading about, how the evolution of bridesmaids dresses have
I saw that video.
Yeah. And so it was very, obviously I'm a nerd, and so I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. And nobody liked it. I was like, it must just be me. But yeah, and so it's really cool to see. I mean, it's, when you get married, I think, the biggest part of the wedding day is the people that you're surrounded by. And to me, I know that day when that happens, I'm not going to cry when I see my husband. I'm going to cry when I see my girlfriends.
Oh my gosh.
You know, because it's going to be like, gosh, they've been through all of it, you know, like the guys only seen this side of me. They've seen it all. So, you know, and I'm very, very close with my girlfriends.
That's such a big deal.
Yeah, and so I think, you know, when you've got those great people, you're going to always want those people in your life. And so as long as there's a need for bridesmaids dresses and bridesmaids, I will be around.
That's good.
So.
That's good. That's a good soundbite right there. It's
Good.
going to be at the very beginning of the video. I like it.
I'm glad.
Oh, wait, you go.
Oh, okay,
I
I'll
have
go.
never done it before.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Ask you a question?
Yeah, ask me a question. All right. So, while running this business, what has been your greatest fear, and how do you find yourself managing that fear?
Not making money.
Yeah.
And I think that's every business owner's fear,
Yeah.
is just bills are going to come on the first of the month, and whether you make the sales or not, they're going to come, and they're going to direct deposit, or they're going to be withdrawn, you know. I wish there was direct deposit. It would be the other way around, I guess. But, yeah, so I mean, and it's not just about selling dresses. I mean, not only do I have to make enough to compensate for the dress sales that I'm buying, but also the bills. I mean, you know, there's so many factors that I think a lot of people don't realize with owning the store. I mean, a lot of people don't know it's a franchise. You know, I mean, I got a call today about somebody wanting to set up a credit card thing at my business, and I'm like, well, I already got that taken care of. Thank you, but no thank you.
And the franchise takes care of everything.
Yeah, they do. And that is a big part why people are like, oh, why do you do it? Because I'm like, I don't have to deal with any of that. I don't have to deal
That's
with a
amazing,
website.
actually.
I mean, they do it all. There's somebody for everything.
I was going to ask you about your website.
Mhm.
I was going to, at least the Bella Bridesmaid
Yeah.
website, 'cause it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And, I mean, they pay a lot of money to some developer out there. And I think another asset of it as well is we use this platform called Virtual Showroom. And so it's basically when we wrap up an appointment, or when I wrap up the appointment, you know, I show these girls it's a very easy way of them to walk out the door with something tangible, but it's also virtual. So, you know, they leave the store with, oh, okay, whenever I'm ready to place my order, I just go onto this website and I press click and order and it's done. So, you know, it's just so easy and it makes it just so much more smooth running. I kind of call it like an online closet. So the girls go home and they have something to take away with them, but it's not like, oh, this is a piece of paper I scratched my favorite style numbers down on, you know? So it feels more professional. It feels more, it makes things run smoother. It makes things just way easier in the long run of just accounting and all of that. So, yeah, so the franchise takes care of all of it. I mean, trust me, we pay them, so it better get done. So, yeah, they take care of our website. They take care of our advertising. You know, they give us all the assets we need to be successful. So that was another thing, too, when I jumped in. I didn't feel like I was biting off more than I could chew because there was somebody for every single aspect of the business that I could call or I could refer to, and just, you know, it's not just one person taking care of me. It's like a whole franchise team of people.
That's cool.
So. Yeah,
really cool.
It's great.
Let's do it. We're coming down to the wire.
I know, right?
We got 6 left.
Let's do it.
So, this is a question I'm actually really curious about. Why a bridesmaid dress shop?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you even come to work here before it was Bella?
Yeah, so when it was Prim, Allison, the previous owner, she was actually pregnant and she was about to be on maternity leave. And so when I was working at Brides of Oklahoma, they had reached out and they said, hey, there's this opening at this store, and I had actually been here before and I didn't realize it. I had actually come to pick up dresses here for a photo shoot. They'd sent me to do errands, and I had been here, and I remember I met Allison, I talked to her, I didn't think anything of it. And it's really kind of a bizarre experience because little did I know when I came here that I would one day own the store, you know? You just don't think about those things, you know? So
Fast forward,
literally that was in 2018, so 3 years later, I'm going on 4. So it's really interesting. And so I knew my time at Brides of Oklahoma was kind of, I'd done it for a year. At that point, I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting any more out of it. I've done what I can do. So I knew if I could handle that, I could handle, because I already had a job. I was working at a retail shop in Norman. So I was working there pretty much the days I wasn't working for my free internship. I was, working at a retail shop. Yeah. So
wow.
Just to add it to my plate of things, So I knew, I was like, okay, well, if I can handle driving up from, sometimes more than 45 minutes from Norman to Edmond, yeah, it was not fun. But, I made it work, and it's because I wanted to do it, I always wanted to fill my plate up with as many things as I could, as long as I was handling everything. So, yeah, and I thought, well, I'm going to take the leap of faith, and I applied, and, she told me, what'd she tell me? She said I had the girliest resume she'd ever seen. So I don't know. I mean, hey, it worked out.
I
so
love that.
It
That's awesome.
made me stand out.
I guess Pageants, Brides of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Sure.
It made it work.
Where were you working retail at?
So it was a shop called Stella Ray's. So I was.
You're a model over there, weren't you?
I was. Yes, I was. So I was working there just part time.
Did they still have you on their website?
Do what?
Do they still have a picture of you on their website?
Probably. I probably.
I think like on the first page.
Oh my gosh.
Because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And so when I was researching, I saw that and I was like, okay. And so I think you're on the front page.
Oh my gosh. Well, hey, I took a lot of pictures for them, so I hope they're putting it to good use.
That's cool.
But yeah, so I worked there, and then I started working at Prim. I worked like 2 days a week, and then I worked on Saturdays, obviously. And then it just kind of happened. She just had her baby, and then I was working alone all of a sudden, and I was like, oh my goodness, I worked by myself. I mean, I already felt like I was in that role. I mean, obviously not the ownership role, but I worked day in and day out. So when I started working as the owner, obviously I took on this ownership role, but to me it was just second nature. Like a lot of the Bella owners, not only are they learning how to be an owner, they're learning how to sell the dresses, learning the product knowledge, learning just how the business works in a general sense. I already had that down. I already knew all of that. So that was really, to me, that was the easy part. It was just hey, I have to learn how to run a business now. That was the part I had to learn. So, but, I mean, yeah, so I definitely...
What a natural step.
It seemed just perfect.
It seems just like you're walking down the street and step by step you're doing
just following the yellow brick road, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So,
good job.
Thank you.
Hard
It's
work.
good. Next
Let's
one?
Yep.
Let's do it.
All right. Tiniest one. Tell me about Murder and Matrimony.
Oh my gosh, the movie.
Yeah,
That's
tell
funny.
me. I gotta know.
I wish I knew more too. Well, I don't know. So I'm trying to remember how this happened. You actually kind of remind me of the producer, actually. It's kind of funny because he had also just stumbled upon me, walked into the store, and he had said, we are filming a Lifetime movie, and I thought it was a scam. I didn't think anything about it, I'm like, okay.
This seems weird.
Yeah, and I mean, he had sent me more information on it, and I was kind of like, it was a why not kind of thing, I had no reason not to. So, eventually they set up the crew and everything, and they came out and they shot it, and I think... Gosh, literally like 2 full days. They came and they set up everything. It was, I'm trying to remember, the storyline was about a wedding planner, and they used this as the shop that she worked at. I can't remember the plot. I wish I knew. I wish I could see the movie. But, and so they set up, I mean, it was crazy to walk in.
Do you remember the director name? The name of the producer?
Taylor something. I can't remember his last name.
Okay.
I can't remember for the life of me. I'll try to remember later.
Okay.
Not to throw anyone under the bus or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they came in and they shot everything that they needed to in 2 days. I actually got to be in one of the scenes.
Oh, okay.
I was a customer. Roles were reversed. So I was a customer, and the leading lady of the starring girl, walked me out to the door. So it was very interesting to see just how the setup of it works. Very similar to the setup you guys have times about 20.
Yeah.
And I kind of almost had a mini heart attack when I walked in here because I didn't see the setup. I gave him the keys and I said, okay, I'll come back tonight, And so I came, and I mean, everything was moved, and my control freak self was like, oh my God, they did a great job of putting everything back together. I mean, as best as they could. I mean, of course, I walked in and I was like, oh my God, this needs to be moved. This needs to be moved. This needs to be moved an inch, but it was really cool. It was a cool experience to kind of see how that works. I mean, it was full blown, they rented out like a suite over there and had all their crew, and they had makeup crew, they had hair and makeup. It was very interesting. So I guess the movies are kind of becoming more of a thing, the film industry in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
for sure.
I every day we're part of a bunch of different casting emails.
Yeah.
And every day I'm getting these things, and I'm so tempted to take one on
Yeah.
and give it a shot.
It would be interesting for sure. So stay tuned for more. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I know it takes a long time to edit those things and kind of get in the works, but that was in March, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but
really
I'm interested.
Cool. So you don't know much about it at all.
I don't. I mean, like they needed a space, and and I was happy to provide it. And
is it a true story?
So no, it's I don't believe so. It's just one of those over exaggerated Lifetime dramatic movies where there's definitely, I think there's a lot of like murder scenes, which I'm like, I wish that could have happened here. But because I even had to like go meet them one day on set to get a COVID test or something, and they were filming just up the road at this mansion that I didn't even know was there. And so it was really cool to just see the layout of it, and they're just really cool people. You know, movie people are just very interesting. So very cool experience though. I'm glad I did it.
Well,
so.
I am so eager. We'll have to
I
look
am
this
too.
up.
I will definitely keep y'all posted. I need to follow up on that and kind of. Well, it's funny too that you say that, because the owner or the producer, it was one of the other producers, Kelly, I believe was her name, and she actually reached out to me after the movie wrapped up and everything a couple weeks, and she said, I don't know if this ever came into fruition, I don't know anything about it, but she had actually reached out to me and she said, I would really like to open up a Bella Bridesmaids.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was really cool because she had never heard of Bella Bridesmaids, you know, and she said that she was kind of at a point in her life where she was ready to wrap up film and kind of take on something new. And so she, I think, was from Florida. And so, you know, I gave her a call. She called me one day and we talked about it for probably 2 hours. And, you know, I just kind of gave her the rundown of everything. It was kind of weird. I'm like, it's so weird for people to call, like, grown women calling me to ask for advice, you know? But I was like,
it's like, wait, I'm still a child. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, this is so weird.
I get that.
But, so I don't know. Obviously, I would hear about it if there was another store opening, so I don't know what happened with that. But it was just definitely very cool. And I think I am still, I think I'm always just, I want to say yes to as much as I can, you know, especially, I may not feel that way in 5 years, but when you're first opening a business, you want to make sure that you are all in and doing as much as you can. I still to this day, I am accepting of every styled shoot. I actually am putting on my own styled photo shoot. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, in November, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be at 21C in Oklahoma City. It's like an art museum, I guess, kind of like a hotel situation. So I'm really excited and just collaborating with vendors and just being as open and just experimental as I can at this early on.
All right, so I already asked you in 5 years for the business what you might see it looking like.
Yeah.
But in 5 years, Lexi has built her dream life.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
You know,
let's act like time isn't a thing.
Time is
what you could have achieved in 20 years, you've now achieved in 5.
Yeah.
What does your life look like?
You know, I feel like I've accomplished a lot early on in my life.
I do too, yeah.
And I'm very proud of that. So, you know, I hope I'm married. I hope I'm building a family. And I know that seems so cliche, but I really do want those things for my life.
Those are
you
great
know?
things.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I hope the store is always going to be successful. And I hope, like I said, I hope I get to open up another store. And who knows what opportunities are going to come along the way, because I surely didn't think I'd be doing this 5 years ago. Didn't think I would do anything close. So, you know, as far as like tangible things that I know I want, you know, happy marriage. I want just my family to be super close. And I hope that continues to stay a thing. My family we are so close. And so I hope that stays the same and can only get better. And hopefully, you know, me and whoever I end up with will have a great life built together. So.
Well, that's a great answer.
Cheesy, but it's true.
It's a beautiful answer.
Yeah.
It is cheesy, but it's great.
I know. I'm a cheesy person.
That's
so.
good. I'm with you. Let's do it then.
Awesome. All right.
I think you're like the first person I've asked that question to who hasn't said something about travel.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to.
You have such a beautiful, humble answer to that, though.
Yeah, it's true, though.
Family it's amazing. How far in advance should a bride get their dress if there's a bride just got engaged?
Yeah.
She's like, what do I do next?
What do I do next? Yeah. So I always say, like, I mean, I applaud the girls that do plan their weddings without a planner. I don't know how they do it. But, you know, as far as what my side of what I would say is, I mean, start right away. I mean, you know, as far as like ordering your bridesmaids dresses, it does take about 3 to 4 months, but I always say start your search earlier is better. You know, start 6 to 8 months before your wedding, because you would rather you don't want to be rushed. You don't want to be stressed through any part of your wedding. So, you know, the girls, I mean, I know, like you said, you guys got married so quick. Like, I don't know how you did it.
Well, and we didn't have a planner either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
we spent $2,500 on our wedding or so.
Oh my gosh.
And we just did everything ourselves.
And you made it work. I mean, you know, now too, I feel like even probably in the past 5 years, y'all can probably attest that weddings are just astronomical.
We had a very tiny wedding, 30 to 40 people that were there. It was chaos.
And it was probably perfect, though. You know, it's probably
just we don't regret anything about our day except for our photography. It's actually one of the reasons we got into wedding photography.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We had a friend who was a very sweet friend of ours, and I would never insult her ever. I love her. But she shot photos at our wedding because she had a professional DSLR. She had a Canon Rebel, one of the lowest end you can get. and she didn't really know what she was doing.
Right.
So we have about 5 really good usable images of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, you realize there's a need for some good photography, right?
there is.
Yeah,
there
for
is.
sure. Absolutely.
We were talking earlier, it's an oversaturated market.
Yeah.
And sadly, a good portion of those photographers aren't really that great.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, and I'm not trying to badmouth anything. I
Yeah,
would never
of
do that.
course. So yeah, I would say definitely at least on the bridesmaid side of things, start your search earlier is better. And you guys know this too, like you gotta book those vendors because now, I mean, especially people have now postponed all their weddings, and I think we will see postponements from 2020 for the next few years, I would say at least. So seeing that, oversaturation of wedding dates are booked. They are, booked out so far in advance, and I think not just your venue, but all of your vendors, getting those photographers, getting everything that you need rolling, because, you don't want to look back and regret anything and think, oh, I had that time and I didn't use it. So one thing I always tell my girls before they walk out the door, I probably said this more times than I can count, is if you've got the time, use it.
Yeah.
Because I will have girls who come in like a year in advance and then they'll wait until, 3 months before the wedding, and then they have to end up paying extra for a rush. And I'm like, I don't want you to have to do that. I don't want to have to do that, because I will be up at night thinking, oh my God, is that dress going to get here in time? So don't even get me started on delays and rushes and things like that, because because we don't realize it here, but our dresses are made overseas. They're made in Thailand, China, Vietnam, and recently Vietnam just completely shut down all their factories.
Really?
Yeah. And so see, a lot of people don't know that. We do, because their dresses are made there.
Yeah.
And over there, like, it's not like here. I mean, they don't care. They'll shut down your business. They do not care what it affects, how it affects you, your business, your lifestyle, anything. For like about a month, that factory was completely shut down. And so and our most popular fabrication, which is Lex chiffon, is the most popular fabric. And so now you've got these dresses that are, and it's one of the designers that's more on the affordable side. So these girls are now having to stress. I mean, I can't tell you how many, not personally on my side, but I know a lot of orders in other Bella stores were just straight up canceled. Oof. A few of mine were, luckily I didn't have a lot that were affected, thank the Lord, but I know a lot of stores were scrambling because their orders just were not going to be made a month before the wedding. Yeah. And at that point, what do you tell a bride? I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you,
Oh, man.
So really very stressful. But so luckily they're now up and running and everything's good. But yeah, it can be definitely very, because at the end of the day, it's not my fault if something is late, but the bride doesn't care. The bride doesn't know that. They don't, I'm sure y'all feel the same way on certain things. Like if something takes a long time, it's not on y'all, but it is at the end of the day, because the bride is only in communication with you. They don't have anything to do with the designer side of it, but it's all about being organized and just staying on top of things. Luckily, my organization is a little anal, so I know when things are coming in.
Cool. We'll go for the next one.
Okay, let's do it. Almost there.
All right. So do you have an online store where you list all of your dresses?
Yeah, so we've got the website, obviously. So the website is great because it does list pretty much, I wouldn't say all of the dresses, but it does give you a good oversight of, Bella Bridesmaids does have pretty much everything on there, which is really great. And it does list, all of our designers and things like that. So it gives you as much, of the resources that you could ever need as far as like what to look at before coming into your appointment. So obviously, I try to encourage the girls to do a little bit of their research before they come in, just so they know what they're looking for. And of course, it's okay to come in having a completely open mind and not knowing. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of try to encourage them. Go look and kind of see some things you like, see the things you don't like, just so when you come in, it's not just like oh my gosh, where do I start? Because it can be very overwhelming if you've never even thought about what you want, and then you come into the store and, like I said, you've got 800 dresses, and it can be very overwhelming for some girls. So, but just kind of guiding them through the process. But yeah, so and then another thing too, again, we had talked about that virtual showroom, which is a really great way of, keeping track of things, ordering deadlines, like, they really need to know that order deadline, That's very important. So it's like the first thing, and it really prompts them through each of the next steps. So
is there any application or program that can put the dress on somebody? You know how you have those furniture stores and it's like you want to see it in your room? Is that a thing?
It's not, but it should be.
Yeah, I
definitely.
agree.
Yeah, for sure. There is what I really think one of the designers, Desi, does really well is that you can see any dress in any of the colors they offer. So, you know, it's really hard when you pick out a dress and you're like, okay, here's this little tiny 2x2-inch swatch, and you're like, I hope it's the right color.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
so
that's tough.
it's really scary, and sometimes they get it in and they don't like it, but I have to be like, I'm sorry you chose it, you know, and just, I mean, I'm never just like, sorry.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
a lot more tactful than that. But
yes, for sure.
In reality.
But there's been some times where they don't get what they're expecting, and I think what Desi does really well is being able to kind of have that feature of that, here is BB112, and we can look at it in the 25 different colors and see the exact dress in that color.
Wow.
So that's really helpful, is being able to show brides you're not just ordering something in the blind. So they know what they're getting when it comes in.
Good stuff.
Sound good?
You ready?
Last one.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Last question
Probably
right
ready
here.
to let me stop talking, right?
No, you're good. You're good.
I
So
know.
here's a great ending question.
Okay.
We've talked about a lot. We've talked about all the way from Little Miss
I
Preteen
know.
Sapulpa all the way to Bella Bridesmaids.
I'm glad we started with that too.
Yeah, me too. I don't plan those things. You
I
grabbed
know.
it. That's
It just
awesome. I love that. So, what goal, if you had to give one, would you like to accomplish by the end of 2021, this year?
Ooh, that's a tough one. My gosh, I don't know. It's almost over at the end of the year.
We're really
right?
close. But maybe it's something that you're already close to achieving.
Yeah, I mean, I essentially would really like to have my own home, and I would really like to have a house. I don't want to like move into an apartment. I think my parents are really pushing me to just go out and find something, which my parents have been so grateful to let me stay at home in this first year. And not saying that this will happen by the end of the year, but hopefully within the next, few months after the beginning of the year, I really want to have that own space. And I know that's probably not the most traditional answer. It's a goal that is something I don't take lightly. It's a big step, and creating a home, and not just a house, but a home.
Yeah.
And so I've never had my own space before, and just really being able to create that will make me feel kind of a new sense of independence I've never had. So I'm really excited about that. I know my mom's really excited about that. So I hope that it kind of comes into fruition in the next few months or towards the beginning of next year. So
Wow.
I know it's a big one.
That's a big one.
I know. And I'm like, and again, I know we talked about this earlier. I don't know what that consists of, whether it be renting a house or buying a house or something. I'm obviously keeping my eyes open. It's at a really weird age too, because I'm 23, and you've got people who are having babies. You've got people who are getting married. You've got people who are sleeping in until 12 and just not having anything to do with their lives, right? So, it's at a really weird age where it's so easy to get caught up in what everyone else is doing. I definitely I'm very proud of where I am, and I think I'm, lifetimes ahead of people at my age in some senses. I do
agree.
I'm proud of that,
Yeah.
I'm humbly so. It's something and again, I haven't done all on my own. I mean, I've put in the work, of course, but luckily I've got my good family and my good roots. So, just creating a life where I feel comfortable, and, because you look at life at only the big moments. It's really not just the big moments. It's a collection of all the small moments leading up to those big moments. So that is just that day-to-day, cooking dinner and just being able to have dinner with me and my boyfriend, and just, whether that be a house together or just having our own separate spaces or whatever that case may be. I mean, love you, Mom, but,
it's time to leave the nest.
So, and I mean, I really want that, and I hope I get to accomplish that.
That's awesome. If I can give you any piece of advice, after we bought our first house, we've lived there for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
I wish we would have actually rented a house first to figure out the things that we do and don't want, because we thought we knew what we wanted going into owning a house.
Yeah.
And it's completely changed for us.
Oh, I'm sure, and it always does change, and that's why I'm just like, let me stay here as long as I can, because, obviously, like I said, I am a go-getter, and it's something I don't take lightly, and so, in a normal world, I probably would have moved out and gotten a roommate. All my girlfriends, we all split ways, I lived in a house with 5 girls all throughout college, so going from 5 girls and then to everybody living in a different state is a big change. It's definitely really weird, you go, and especially from COVID too, we were together all day, every day, morning
You guys
to
had to
night.
be clawing each other's eyes out at some point.
It wasn't as bad as you would think. I
Really?
mean, don't get me wrong, we had some moments, but yeah, I mean, overall, it worked out, but it's really hard to go from that kind of environment to just not having them at all. And so, of course, I would I would have probably loved to just gotten a roommate and gone somewhere, but that's just not the case right now. So every older person has told me, save your money, save as much as you can while you're young, because you can, always make some more later, right?
I love it. Well, Lexi, thank you so much for sitting down with me. Real quick, last thing I want you to do is just tell these people where they can find you. Tell them your social medias, all those things.
Absolutely. So we just started a new Instagram. It is at Bella Bridesmaids OKC. So make sure you follow us, or you can visit us at bellabridesmaids.com.
You almost said Oklahoma Brides, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but you know what I meant.
That's awesome.
Bella Bridesmaids OKC. That's it.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the thumbs up. Make sure to come and visit Lexi here at Bella Bridesmaids. You're right off of May, and what's the other close intersection?
May and Wilshire.
Wilshire.
Yep.
Right there. Come see her, guys. Thank you. Bye. All right.
Woo!
Good job.